I guess.
And Wally Lukaczynski.
Enjoy the fake-tainted national title, you scumbags.
Covering everything from the green and gold to pro, college, and high school sports around South Central Wisconsin. Broadcasting live from the Daily Dodge TV studios. This is the Damn Sports Show, presented by Real Sports Cards in Waupun on Daily Dodge TV and 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam.
Out of Jordan Love in the 2025-26 season. Gabe Neitzel will join us in just a few moments to talk that. We'll talk whatever the NBA All-Star Weekend was. Badgers men's basketball team enters this week as the number 11 team in the country after taking down the Boilermakers in a shootout. Top 3 high school plays of the week. Who's hot, who's not. This is Monday. This is the Damn Sports Show, presented to you by Real Sports Cards in Waupun. I'm Corey Sparks. I am not joined by Wally Lukaczynski. For those of you watching on Daily Dodge TV, it's Riley Jauch of ESPN Madison. Riley, thank you for joining us on such short notice today.
Hey, of course. I'm happy to be here. This is actually my first time hosting on air on Good Karma Brands Radio, so I'm very excited to be here. Oh, we got somewhere. We don't even need the hotkey. No. We don't even need a hotkey. That's fantastic. But yeah, really excited to be here, and hey, couldn't ask for a better lead host. So.
I appreciate it, man. Well, glad to have you on. I know you and I saw each other. It's been a while. You and I went to the Wisconsin Women's Volleyball Media Day. It was Big Ten Media Day, downtown Chicago. That was a trip, and now we're here in Beaver Dam. Little difference in population. Yes, just slightly. Driving into Beaver Dam, though, you know, there was a lot of traffic in the intersection over near that McDonald's or the Applebee's or whatever, so... You never know. Beaver Dam, Chicago, pretty similar, comparable. 100%. Gabe Neitzel joins us now. We'll make it a party here as Gabe is on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy weekdays from 7 to 9 a.m. on ESPN Milwaukee and the ESPN Milwaukee YouTube channel as well. Gabe, how are you doing? How was your weekend?
I'm doing great, man. I was kind of sick toward the end of last week, so, was able to kind of recover and get back to it,
I'll spare you the details. I'm not sure if you transmitted what you had to Wally, but Wally, he is about as sick as he's ever been right now, and that's why Riley's in for his seat. So I'm glad you're better. I'm hoping if you did pass whatever you had on to Wally, it was like a 24-hour thing. How long were you out for?
I missed 2 days last week. I missed Wednesday, Thursday. Mine was more of a cold thing. Like, I felt okay, but it was more like I didn't have my voice at all.
Okay.
And turns out that's kind of important in the line of work we've chosen. So I was unable to do the shows last Wednesday, Thursday.
I do want to give you guys credit. I saw the Jen, Gabe, and Chewy depth chart and the injury report going into the back end of last week. We should do that here. We don't have as big of a depth chart. But, Gabe, I wanted to start off with Packers. We'll kind of jump around. We'll talk NHL All-Star Weekend. They got some headlines. NBA got some headlines, maybe not for the reasons they were hoping. But what steps do you expect the Packers to take? We can start with this, to build around Jordan Love. And how much of this offseason do you think will be a reflection of year 3 being on Love's shoulders? He needs to perform for this offense to be humming in the passing game. And how much of it do you expect to be on the receiving core around him, whatever that may look like?
Yeah, so first and foremost, I think Jordan has to improve. Like, a lot of this is on Jordan. Now, the Packers can do certain things, certainly, to help him out and try to get him, and that receiving core better by adding to it, through free agency trade, what have you. So, but I think Jordan's improvement, has to be the first part of that building block. He's got to get back to better fundamentals. He kind of saw it from time to time where, he's either drifting back in the pocket, the footwork gets a little lazy, he starts throwing from different arm angles when he doesn't have to. And, there are certain things that I think kind of play into that. I think the leg injury certainly did, as he had to, readjust the mechanics a little bit, to try to play on the knee injury earlier in the season. And, ankle was bothering him a little bit later. And, so he had to deal with some of that stuff. But you still have to have those solid fundamentals in order to achieve the consistent play that he wants and trying to take himself to that next level. As far as the receiving core, I expect them to add something, but I don't know if you had an opportunity. Bill Barnwell had a piece today at ESPN.com kind of going through 17 names that are going to be potentially available because some would be through trade this offseason at the wide receiver position. It is dark. It is not good. Like, if you're looking for somebody to make an instant impact, like that name outside of Devontae Adams, I don't think is there. Like, the interest in Chris Godwin for some, mileage could vary there as he's coming off of an ankle injury that he ended up missing the second half of the season last year for Tampa Bay. He's a little bit younger. Christian Kirk had a 1,000-yard season a couple years ago, but he's only played 20 games in the last 2 years combined. So there's a lot of give and take in that free agent market after you get past Devontae Adams, who everybody assumes is going to be available after the Jets release him at some point this offseason. So I expect the Packers to make an improvement there. I just don't know if it's going to be this huge drastic improvement based on the veterans and players that are available.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, Gabe, I'm glad you mentioned the receivers there because I'm wondering, in your opinion, if the Packers don't end up adding anyone, Devontae Adams, we don't have this happy reunion, what do you think we're going to be talking about Badgers basketball's season or ceiling later on in the show? What do you think the Packers' ceiling is moving forward if they don't add anyone? Will Jordan Love's improvement be enough for this team?
It depends upon who grows. And if somebody and I think the one who has the best potential to grow isn't a wide receiver. I think it's Tucker Kraft. And the way that he kind of talked at the end of the season about how he wants to have this year 3 breakout and be a leader of the team and be one of these great players. If he emerges as, a top receiving option at tight end, the Packers still, I think, would have to add somebody speed-wise, whether that's through the draft, whether that's somebody like Hollywood Brown to kind of help bridge the gap of not having Christian Watson. If one player, it's amazing how quickly everything else can fall into place, in my mind at least, when you have an established pecking order. When you have that one player that everybody has to pay attention to, it's amazing how much everything else can make sense and fall in line. So, you can give – right now, when the Packers go up against a defense, everyone's just going, all right, we got to slow down Josh Jacobs, but we don't have to shade extra coverage. We don't have to make sure we know where Dontavian Wicks or Romeo Doubs is at all times. And just having that little bit of extra attention can throw a defense off, and that's how you're able to create holes and open up things for other guys because a defense is out of position. So if they don't add anybody, Riley, somebody else has to grow in order for the Packers to reach the full potential. In order for the Packers to go, we're a true Super Bowl contender, someone's going to have to step up. And my money would be on Tucker Kraft.
I like that you mentioned defense, Gabe. I'd like to talk Packers defense here before we shift over to the NBA All-Star Weekend. What a weekend that was. I asked you a couple of months ago when we found out that Jair was done for the year if he had played his last game in a Packers uniform. Let's say the Packers find a suitor for Jair in the trade market. Given the recent injuries, what is his value right now?
Yeah, that's the thing. And I don't think there is a value out there because I don't think anybody would want to sign up for a cornerback who is as injured as he is and then pay $16 million.
Yeah.
Because that's what the contract is right now. His base salary for this upcoming year is $16.1 something million. So that's what you would be signing up for. That's what you would have to pay Jair Alexander in 2025 if you trade for him. That's what you're on the hook for, and then $18 more million next year. Now, granted, that's not guaranteed money, but if you're going to use a pick to acquire him, clearly you're going to agree to pay him that money. So I don't think there's anybody out there that's going to pay that money. They'll just wait for the Packers to figure it out on their own, whether that's the Packers going to him and saying, hey, will you take a pay cut, him saying no, and then them just releasing and cutting him. I'm not quite sure what the plan is there, but I personally, because for the Packers, it would just be a $5 million cap savings if they were to release him. I think for $5 million, I would just keep him around at that point. The savings, they're in a healthy cap spot. I would still keep him around and hope that he can stay healthy because I think when he is healthy, he's definitely one of the best corners in the NFL, and the Packers would have a hard time replacing that. So I would keep him around, but it seems like, especially with the Rob Domofsky story that came out, where people within the building are tired of him either not playing while he's hurt or deciding that's not a thing, or if they're just sick of him being hurt. It kind of seems like he has played his last snap as a member of the Packers.
I mean, I would say it's a fall from grace. Not that everything was great at the beginning of the year when he got the pick 6, but his value definitely would be above where it is right now. Not that this is a better conversation or a happier conversation, but I want to pitch it over to Riley here, whose jaw was probably lower and closer to the ground than mine when watching what the Spurs were doing for All-Star Weekend and everything there.
Gabe, I just want your comments. It was an absolute debacle yesterday. We got the Kevin Hart / Inside the NBA comedy show. I think I saw a tweet today. There may have been 38 minutes of actual basketball played in a 3-hour broadcast at the NBA All-Star Game. That is absurd. Clearly, Adam Silver, the NBA, they don't know how to fix the All-Star Game. You are a member of ESPN National. Like, you're a big name. You probably have some pull with the NBA. So if Gabe Neitzel is fixing the NBA All-Star Game, weekend, etc., what are you doing? Because they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, and that's the problem right now, right? And so I saw a tweet where I believe it was 42 minutes of action to 80 minutes of commercials.
Awesome.
During the NBA All-Star break game last night. So that's obviously a problem. The basketball itself, I felt at least the first 2 games weren't bad. The championship game, it just kind of felt like everybody was over it, and like it just got done so quickly because they just stopped caring. The thing that you have to do, if you're the NBA, and if I'm Adam Silver, I am stepping up and I am asking the question of the players, because you had, this ticked me off yesterday with Draymond Green going up there and talking about how, even before the games were played, that he hated the form and everything's a zero. When, dude, Draymond, you and your generation are a big reason why the NBA feels like they have to do this, because nobody's putting any effort. You don't have any player buy-in. And they just want to go back to East-West. So if I'm Silver, I'll go, I meet with the Players Association, or I meet with a group of all-stars, whatever, saying, fine, I'll go back to East-West if that's what you guys want. But you guys got to buy in. How do I get you guys, and you don't have to play like it's Game 7 of the NBA Finals, but how do we get, efforts in making this an actual basketball game? Because clearly they want, in the NFL, they've kind of decided, hey, we're never going to do an actual football game again. There's too much money. There's injuries on the line. I think the second that Sean Taylor, all those years ago, laid out a punter, okay, all right, that was kind of the depth of the Pro Bowl. Like, they're not actually going to do that for real anymore. And the NFL is fine with it because they figured out a way of, we'll play like football, we'll do these skill challenges, we'll get enough people to care, and that's all we care about, to make our media partner happy. Clearly, everybody else, at least the NHL and at least the NBA, are trying to find something where they get player buy-in. In the NBA Cup, they got player buy-in. I thought the NBA Cup was awesome this year because the players cared. Like, the players actually cared. If you watch those semifinal games, you got maximum effort from all 4 of those teams, and then the Bucks played really well and blew the doors off of OKC in that championship. In the NHL, you guys brought it up. The NHL's had how many different all-star formats over the course of the last handful of years? But they found something this year with this Four Nations Cup, because they have figured out that players playing for their country and that national pride will get them to invest and buy in, to the point where we had fights during USA-Canada on Saturday. Like, that's how much these guys care. So if I'm Adam Silver, the only way you can fix it is with buy-in from the players. So you have to work with the players of, hey, how do we get you guys to care about this, to even put together a little bit of effort?
Before this Adam Silver player intervention happens, Gabe, if we could play the rankings game. I know you and I were talking about the Pro Bowl not too long ago, and you said maybe it's not for you, maybe it's not for me, but there's a demo out there that enjoys the flag football and the dodgeball. They're just like half my age. But if we could rank the 4 right now between the NBA, the NFL, the MLB, and the NHL, how would you personally rank those 4 all-star game weekend events?
Well, maybe I'll prisoner in the moment, and I guess the NHL has an advantage over everybody because they're doing it over the course of a week and a half. So it's not really just an all-star weekend or a couple of days. They're really spreading their wings and letting this thing, stretch out. But it's hard to say it's not the NHL the way they got guys to buy in. So I would say NHL, I would say Major League Baseball, because you can put in effort in a baseball game, and I think they've done a good job of figuring out ways to protect pitchers and making sure that guys aren't throwing on short rest. They just won't play in the game. Things like that. So baseball, the baseball is still basically any other game that you would tune in. It's just going to involve a lot more players on that Tuesday night in July. After that, I would say NBA for me. Because, again, I don't think the basketball was necessarily that bad for the first 2 games, and then the last one kind of got out of control. And then, the Pro Bowl is just, that's not for me.
Alrighty, Gabe. Last one from me before we let you go. How many more times do you have to fill in on ESPN National Radio to get a spot in the NBA Celebrity All-Star Game?
Ooh.
Oh, well, I mean, thousands, if not hundreds of thousands more, right? Like, I mean, the only people that I think that have ever from ESPN Radio played in that game are Mike and Mike, and that's the biggest show in ESPN Radio history. Like, those are like, that's the most iconic show in the history of the ESPN Radio lineup, and they're the only ones who have been able to do it. So I can't imagine what I would have to do in order to get out there and be able to ball.
But if you did get out there, theoretically speaking, how would you perform? How many points?
I mean, I'm grabbing a bunch of rebounds. I'm setting screens. Like, if you watch the Celebrity Game, like, there's a lack of movement away from the ball. We got to start, we got to start moving. We got to get, some back screens going. We got to make sure we're boxing out, helping everybody to just one. I'm going to D up. I'm going to set some screens. If I get an open shot, fine. But I want to be setting screens and grabbing some boards and making sure that offense is moving and that ball is moving. I don't want anybody standing around dribbling. None of us are good enough for that in the Celebrity Game, except for, the WNBA players and even, like, the NBA, like, has-beens that they put in that game are usually, like, not that interested in it. But for everybody else, for the regular Joes like me, like, if I'm playing in that game, we're going to move the ball, all right? Nobody's holding on to it. We're going to make sure this thing's moving. We're going to play some crisp offense.
I love that.
I want to see Gabe Neitzel face guarding Terrell Owens. What do we think?
Oh, yeah. You got to pick him up. Got to go off the full 94.
I think that's a bad matchup for T.O.
Perfect. Gabe, as always, we appreciate the time. We'll catch you next week.
All right. Sounds good, boys.
I could see Gabe being that gritty just based off of his answer. He's going to get like 2, maybe he'll get 3 points. He'll get an and 1 opportunity, sink the free throw, but he's going to have like 50 screens, 2 steals. Probably 3 fouls.
Yeah, like a one tough through contact layup while being guarded by Jelly Roll or something along those lines.
Slow by him.
That's all I need. I'd love to see that.
I do want to remind all of you that this started last Friday on Valentine's Day. You are able to qualify for the McKinstry's Home Furnishings Right to Win contest and celebrate their 167th anniversary. 3 different contest prize options. 4-pack of Milwaukee baseball tickets, $167 for 167 years, and a $1,000 shopping spree is the grand prize at McKinstry's Home Furnishings. The final contest will take place on Saturday, March 1st, from 9 until 11 a.m. at McKinstry's Home Furnishings under the red awning here in Beaver Dam. All you need to do is show up that morning, pick a pen, and write your name. If you pick one of the 3 lucky pen colors, you will win one of those prizes. You must pre-qualify to participate. Super easy, folks. 920-887-9595. Call into the show, 920-887-9595. You won't talk to me or Riley, unfortunately. Aiden Voigt on the other end in our ESPN Beaver Dam studios. We'll get your name, your number. It takes 10 seconds if you're quick with it, and you'll be pre-registered for it. $1,000 shopping spree? That's something.
I'll take that.
Yeah,
I might call Aiden during the break.
I was going to say, I don't know. Maybe we'll get you in there. We'll see what happens. And then, the day of, on March 1st from 9 to 11, pick the right pen color, and you will be there. So, Riley, you're coming over from our team at ESPN Madison. It's only appropriate, in lieu of recent events, a huge 94-84 victory over Purdue, that we talk about Badgers men's basketball. They shot the lights out on Saturday. What's their ceiling? What's their basement? What should we be expecting come March? That comes up next here on the Dam Sports Show, 1430, ESPN Beaver Dam and Daily Dodge TV.
Dam.
Welcome back to the Dam Sports Show on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam and Daily Dodge TV. Reminder, you can follow us on Facebook, ESPN Beaver Dam, Twitter, ESPN BD. The show Twitter is Dam Sports ESPN. You can also call into the show like our buddy Tyler from Watertown did at 920-887-9595. We'll welcome him on in just a moment. But quick reminder, if you are looking for a one-stop shop for all things sports cards, you can head on over to Real Sports Cards in Waupun, or you can check out their app if you're watching us live on Daily Dodge TV. We have that rolling on the screen right now. They've got live breaks streaming right on the app. You can grab individual cards on the go, be a part of a group, and watch your favorite players and teams get drafted, if you will, as the packs get opened. You can go to the Apple or Google Play Store today, look for that orange logo, 3 cards in the middle, super easy to find, and take your collection to the next level with Real Sports Cards, your local resource for all things sports cards, Pokemon cards, and more. And now we welcome on Tyler from Watertown. Tyler, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Corey. How about you?
Doing good. Long time no talk.
Right?
Yes, sir. How have you been?
I've been pretty good. Saw the Trolls movie, and now for the first Despicable Me I'm watching.
Oh, there you go. I have a question for you.
You want to know something really interesting, though, Corey?
What's that?
When my nephew was in elementary school, walking home, he found a Mewtwo EX card right there on the sidewalk.
There you go. Yeah, I feel like the
just
card
right
games
there
are
out
not
of pure
too
luck,
interesting.
and he picked it up and kept it.
Oh, there we go. Good pull.
Finders keepers.
Yeah.
Right? Because the one card show you talked about had Bookline, and that's what reminded me of that one.
That's awesome stuff. Tyler, I got a question for you. We're about to roll into Badgers men's basketball talk. A huge win over number 7 Purdue on Saturday. How far do you think they go after getting first rounded by James Madison last year?
I would like to see him go farther. Yeah, that was just ridiculous last year, losing to that lower seed.
Get me to the second weekend at least, right?
Mm-hmm.
Please.
Well, Tyler,
Yeah,
we
I would like to
appreciate
see
the
him
call
go.
as always,
I would like
man.
to see him go at least to the Sweet 16 or the Elite 8 at least.
I think that's fair. And you know what, Tyler? Me and Riley are going to talk about that next and what their ceiling and what their basement is and everything, meat and potatoes in between. But we appreciate the call as always, man.
And go Badgers tomorrow night.
There we go.
Yes, sir.
Love to hear it. All right. So Badgers men's basketball rolls Purdue 94-84. And I have one of our very own ESPN Madison teammates in Riley Jauch here. I'm assuming you're watching the game live, right?
You know, I'm going to be honest with you.
Okay, fair enough.
I missed the game live. I had it up on my phone on the side. I was watching snippets, and I've gone back and watched the highlights, checked the box scores. You know the drill. However, I was down in my hometown of Milton, Wisconsin, watching regional wrestling, both Friday night and Saturday morning. Congratulations to the Milton boys wrestling team winning regionals.
Good stuff.
And all 5 of the girls Milton girls wrestlers are regional champs, although they unfortunately didn't get enough team points to win regionals. So I was a little busy, but man, what a game though. That was awesome. All I needed was the highlights and seeing on Twitter Badgers look great.
And for those who didn't see it live and dug through the stats and saw the highlights, the one thing that should pop out right away, 94 points, over 50 points in the second half, 3 turnovers the entire game. You know, I was impressed with last year's team, the run they went on out of the gate. I know they had that little slump there where they lost more than they won for a few weeks, and then they got hot again in the Big Ten tournament and earned the 5 seed. I feel like this is, and maybe you could speak on this too, is this the most selfless you've seen this team play in a while?
Certainly more selfless than last year's team.
Yeah.
And I don't want to pin it all on AJ Storr. However, he would sometimes be a little bit of a ball hog.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm the guy. I know I can get mine, and that's what I care about. And it seems like the new transfer, John Tanjay, his replacement has been almost the exact opposite.
Yeah.
And everyone is a threat. When you have Jack Janicki
was
coming
just
off
gonna
the
say,
bench,
how about it?
dropping double-digit points, that is absurd depth. You can have Kamari McGee get ejected for an absolutely blasphemous flagrant 2 call, the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. And you can just plug and play, have guys step up and throttle a team like Purdue, who I think was a consensus Final Four Elite 8 pick coming into this season and currently up until this last weekend. That says a lot about this squad.
All right, based off of that, I'm curious, how much did that performance alone move the needle for you in terms of where you think this team's ceiling could be? Like, are we ready to talk Final Four as the ceiling, or is it a little too optimistic? They are number 11 now.
I know I'm always a glass half full kind of guy, just for for context. So I think now we can certainly turn the conversation to like absolute ceiling. It's probably Final Four. I don't know if we're quite at national championship contender talk, even though this offense is ridiculously good. But I think going into the Purdue game, my ceiling would have been just get me to the second weekend, man.
Yes.
I'm going to be happy. We lose in the Sweet 16 in a close one. Fine. I'm good with that. Now, a second weekend seems like a must.
So is that the basement now?
I think now, yeah. If we're talking what I hope for, I think the basement should be. This team is good enough where the basement should be Sweet 16.
Yeah.
However, if recent history suggests anything, the basement can be much lower.
Yeah. Well, this is where you play the hypothetical game, right? Like, I know they were projected as a 3 seed by many going into that game against Purdue. You'd imagine they rise up to that like upper echelon of maybe the first or second 3 seed. Are there any teams out there you start to wonder that are in that 13, 14, 15 spot that are going to get in because they're in a mid-major conference, they get the automatic bid, that can take down Wisconsin? That's where you have to start to think, are there sneaky teams out there that could do it? But this team is just so sound, right? It's different than years past. They're not getting in ugly 62 to 57 battles in the Big Ten like we're accustomed to seeing. No, they're going to outshoot you, and we saw that again against Purdue. They did just that.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem like a team that's going to get almost bullied like they did last year against James Madison. I just can't see this year's team sort of cracking like last year's team did. Especially, you look at the way the team rallied, going back to the Kamari McGee situation, they rallied around him.
That was
and the picture in the locker room where everyone's posted up.
In the quarter zip.
Exactly. The vibe around this team, and it's tough to go just off vibes, but the attitude and just vibe around this Badgers team seems very different than the past few years. Like, it doesn't just run through Store. It doesn't just run through a Johnny Davis. Like, it's all in. Everyone can play. And I think they're going to make noise this year.
Yeah,
I think they're going to make noise.
I think Blackwell's been a great surprise looking in the middle of last year when he kind of started to get his Seagens minutes, and you got different guys. Klesmit's been a phenomenal leader. I think the thing that made me so mad about the Kamari McGee call, outside of the fact it was egregious, it was basically a moving screen and a guy who's 7'1", and he just happened to run into him.
That just happens to be where his arm ends up.
Yeah. Kamari McGee and Draymond should not be in the same conversation, but I guess they were when you make the comparison that the refs saw there. Kamari is my favorite player, though. I mean, my buddy used to coach him at St. Cat's and Racine, but he's just so scrappy, and I feel like he embodies what Wisconsin is. Be the first one on the ground, high motor. That's what Greg Gard recruits. He's not going to put up 15, 20 points a game, but he does the dirty work. He kind of is what Chucky was last year and what they lost. So super, super excited. So we're saying ceiling. We can put it out there right now and clip it, regardless of how it ages. Ceiling Final Four. Got to make the second weekend, though, with how talented they are, you think?
Yes, I think so. And you mentioned embodying Wisconsin basketball.
Yep.
How about Carter Gilmore?
Awesome, man. Still a walk-on.
Exactly. Last year at this time, he better get a scholarship.
That's what I was telling my buddy. I'm like, can he just get the 4-year payment at the end?
Reimburse him.
Like, hey, man, we appreciate the time. You did more than we thought you were going to do.
Exactly. Last year, I remember watching basketball games with my friends, and Carter Gilmore would get the ball on the offensive side, and we'd be like, please do not shoot. Whatever you do not put the ball near the basket. And now he's a threat from downtown. It's legit. It's absurd the amount of work he has put in to get to a point where he is a legitimate threat on the 11th ranked basketball team in the country is astounding. And like, that is the embodiment of the motion W right there.
That's another reason before we go to break here and talk about Wally's bowling bonanza, which I cannot wait to jump into. That's a story that I hope gets to the Elite Eight and the Final Four, where everybody in the country is talking about this walk-on who scored 17 against St. John's. Right?
Yes.
That would be amazing. Cannot wait to see what this team accomplishes come March. Big Ten tournament still coming up and all of that. But when we come back, your top 3 high school plays of the week. And what on earth is Wally Lukashinsky, who is taking some rest and reprieve time today, a little R&R. What is he going to do for his bowling bonanza on Friday, Tower Lane, starting at 10 on Daily Dodge TV? Riley and I are going to go over strategies. We're going to try and help him. We're going to put a little comprehensive list together of how he could get through what's likely going to be a 12-hour ordeal. This is the Damn Sports Show on 1430, ESPN Beaver Dam and Daily Dodge TV. ESPN Beaver Dam, and Daily Dodge TV, presented to you by Real Sports Cards in Waupun. It is Monday. Corey Sparks and Riley Jauch here with you in the Daily Dodge TV studios. That means it is time for your top 3 high school plays of the week. Your top 3 high school plays of the week.
Now some good shooting by Wanakee to start, and they've, as I mentioned, they forced some turnovers, which has led to buckets. And Donaldson, with a nifty move in the lane. Donaldson gets fouled after making that basket, so she's got a chance for an old-fashioned three-point play.
Schneider with 6. Lodi with 14 to Columbus's 5. A 14-3 run stops right there. Johnny Cotter goes to the line for a 3-point opportunity. Columbus can cut it to 1 possession. Elaine from way downtown, bottoms. 1-point game. The senior being the guiding light in this second half. He's got 6 quick ones.
Those are your top 3 high school plays of the week. Natea Donaldson's and 1 coming in at number 3 for Beaver Dam girls basketball, who just got the 1 seed in their sectional, by the way. Shout out to them ahead of postseason play in a week. Johnny Cotter's and 1 for Columbus boys basketball. Axel Elaine, a little ISO on the big man from way behind the arc. How about
Legit,
that?
Yeah.
And then a quick reminder, speaking of prep sports, Beaver Dam boys hockey embarks on their playoff journey tomorrow. They are in Fond du Lac on both Daily Dodge TV and 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam. Coverage from Fond du Lac begins at 7:15 p.m. Puck drop is at 7:30. You wanted to give a quick shout out. Your cousin had some hardware.
I did, watching some regional wrestling. As previously mentioned, Friday night the girls wrestled, and my cousin, shout out Clary Jauch, regional champion for the Milton Redhawks. Last year she took 5th place at state at, I believe, 106 pounds in the girls division. And this year, looking to go for gold, looking to hold up that bracket when it's all said and done. She's a beast. Very much looking forward to the individual state wrestling tournament this year.
You said her 2nd year wrestling. Could you imagine doing something for 2 years and then just being a state perennial power?
Yeah, I'm
casually.
the best at it. Sorry.
That is awesome stuff. Wally is going to have to hope that he's the best at bowling. That's what we're going to cover next. Attention 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam and Dam Sports Show fans. The Dam Sports Show host Wally Lukashinsky will be at Tower Lanes this Friday, February 21st, bowling until he reaches 4,319 pins, the passing yards total for Sam Darnold this year. All are welcome to show up in person and cheer him on. There's also a chance to give to the Good Karma Brands John Moser Children's Radiothon. We'll have a bucket there in person. Every dollar you put in that bucket also goes towards Wally's pin total. I should say it takes off it. Every dollar is a pin off of 4,319. I'm sure he would appreciate that very much. The entire challenge will also be streamed live on Daily Dodge TV. If you cannot be there in person, starts at 10 a.m. Wally is not allowed to leave. The stream will not end until he hits his pin goal. I want to, before you and I get into strategies for what's going to be an unprecedented event at Tower Lanes this Friday, what was your knee-jerk reaction to hearing this was a thing?
Oh my gosh, I got the email this morning, and I see that Wally has to bowl 3,400 plus pins. What's the exact number?
4,319.
Oh my, and I flipped it.
Yep,
4,319.
He wishes it was 3,400.
Yeah, so the thing, if he bowled a perfect game to start, which is not going to happen, he would only have 4,000 pins to go.
Yeah.
That is ridiculous. I like to think of myself as not a bad bowler. I can get around 150-ish each time, so solid. That is just an absurd amount of pins.
Bad.
Ridiculous. So I was shocked, and I'm glad you put at the bottom of the email that it was going to be about a 7 to 14 hour ordeal.
There's no way to ballpark this.
Because, he's going to be in for a long Friday entire day. He's just going to be in for a long Friday because he'll be there for all of it.
Yeah, so they allowed us to go in right as they opened. We explained it. Tower Lanes loved it. They're like, sure, you can hang out a whole day. That's fine. So he's going to be on lanes 15 and 16, by the way. Just go in, go to the right. Can't miss it. We'll have the camera crew there and everything. I think something I'm still failing to consider, because I'm trying to be optimistic. I'm like you, glass half full. Like, Wally, you're going to get out of this thing in 7.5 hours, right? And he goes, there's no way in hell, dude, because we went in, myself, Aiden Voigt, shout out to him. He's on the bowling team here. He's going to be one of our substitution options if Wally can roll the celebrity option. me and Aiden were talking about, like, if he averages 80, maybe we're around 50 games, depending on what he rolls and everything. We went with Wally about a month ago, and we did Cosmic Bowling at Tower Lanes, and he averaged 81 across 4 games.
Okay.
And in that 4th game, he was dead. He didn't even want to do it. And I was like, dude, we got to prepare you a little bit. What we are not accounting for is when, like, game 24 hits and he can barely pick the ball up.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm scared of. So I don't know how much that average is going to dive.
It might. Is there going to be an option? Can at some point he put up, like, bumpers?
So that is one of them.
That's one of the options.
Yep.
Okay.
I believe they have the ramp there where he can just throw it down. Yeah. And that's huge because then there's no, like, toll on your arm for a little bit. Celebrity is going to get him out of something if he rolls and you sub in or I sub in, or Jesse Nelson, awesome
Jesse
bowler.
Nelson's going to be a fantastic substitute option.
We heard Jason Wilde has bowled a 291 in his youth years.
Wow.
He told us a story where he bowled 11 strikes. I'm so sorry I'm saying this, Jason. If everyone's heard it at this point, though. He bowled 11 strikes and then bowled off his ankle and got 1 at the end. So 291, still extremely impressive.
Painful.
I've never bowled 11 strikes, right? I haven't even got close to that.
No.
So, yeah, he's got options. I guess this is pretty unprecedented. Riley, I'm sure there's a record out there that beats ours, but I'd like to think we're going to be up there. Mm-hmm. What advice do you have in relation to fatigue for someone who's going to be doing the same motion for like a 12-hour shift?
Yeah, that is difficult. So I have a couple stories here. First, from my own fantasy football punishment experience. I took last place a few years ago. I believe it was during COVID, 2020-2021 season. And I had to stay in a McDonald's for 24 hours, and every McChicken I ate knocked 1 hour off my time. Thankfully, for me, I was very fortunate because McDonald's, the inside was closed. You couldn't dine in.
Okay.
So I ordered, they were very frustrated with me when I pulled up to the window and was like, can I get 24 McChickens, please? But they gave them to me, and I went home, and I did not leave my kitchen table until I finished said McChickens, except to go to the bathroom.
Okay.
And I was there for about, I can't remember, somewhere between 5 and 6 hours.
Oh, my goodness.
And ultimately pacing, because I just burned through the first four sandwiches like that, easy. But then you start hitting that wall. Mm-hmm. And Wally, it's probably going to hit that 4th game.
Yes.
And that forearm, the shoulder, he's going to start hitting that wall. So he's got to pace himself. He's got to strategically use the celebrity options.
Yep.
And any advantage he can take, he needs to take full advantage of. Whatever he can get his hands on, use it.
Yes.
Drink water, eat food strategically, strategic rest as well, like just sitting, go on your phone for a little bit, rest, stretch, probably stretch. If he hasn't done any prep for this, he should really stretch beforehand.
So that's what I've been trying to tell him, right? Is I'm like, dude, you're refusing to bowl anymore. We went with him and Aiden about a month ago, did the Cosmic Bowling thing. I was like, we should come back. Like once a week, we'll do 3 games, 4 games, 5 games. We'll pay by the hour, so you're not paying a lot of money. Get a good deal on it. And he's like, no, I'm just going to go and do it the day of. I'm not going to think about it until the morning of. I'm like, dude, that's the equivalent to being like, I'm not going to leave my bed until this marathon starts, and then I'm just going to run the marathon.
Yeah, I'll just figure it out.
So, I appreciate you saying that, in that, yes, there's going to be a wall that he hits. He told me that a potential strategy, I don't know if he's going to do it, is he is going to rapid fire as fast as he can to start out, thinking, okay, if I can just mow through the first 1,000 pins, there's a reset button. So if he hits that, there goes that strategy.
Also evil, by the way.
Yeah,
that spinner is evil.
It is bad. I tried to give him outs. I was like, we're going to stop at 1,000. We don't need a reset button. He's like, no, man, it's going to be hilarious if it happens. And I was like, you say that now until you're 3 hours in.
It's going to be hilarious for us.
Yeah, it's going to be hilarious for one of us,
a lot less hilarious for him.
But he's trying to go rapid fire. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. But what happens when you slow down, you're tired, and you're like 7% of the way there?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
No, I feel like pace. Slow and steady wins the race. The old adage. It's probably cliche. But another story, back in my high school baseball days, some practices I'd throw BP almost the entire practice. And you have to pace it. Like there's a rhythm to it. There's a rhythm. He's going to have to find his rhythm. And when he gets tired, that's when it comes down to mechanics and fundamentals, which he doesn't have.
Right.
So I'm nervous for him, to be completely honest. As I talk through this I don't think this is going to end well for Wally.
Everyone we've told, they do the math and they always highball him. They're like, well, let's say Wally bowls 100 average. So I'm like, okay, he's an 80 average before he gets tired, so I don't know how he's going to get better. And I've offered to pinch it down to 1,000. I've offered a few different things. I've offered to make the wheel nicer. It's half good, half bad right now. I even offered, I didn't even get to ask him because Wally shut it down right away. I was like, Jesse's a good bowler. Like, do you want to meet him in Sun Prairie and get like a 1-hour session just where we go through mechanics and give you, he's like, no, I don't want to do that.
Yeah,
so he's being stubborn.
At least he's sick. He left a very nice comment for us on the YouTube stream. So thank you, Wally. Appreciate it. Honored to fill in for such an esteemed and unfortunate host here on Friday.
Very well put.
But, dude, like, watch some YouTube videos or something.
Do something. Do the tutorials.
Because right now it just seems like he's a glutton for punishment.
Yep.
Like, maybe it might come down to some generous donors who want to.
That is true.
Save him from himself.
Mm-hmm. If someone comes in, if we get a few $100s and we can get that down to like $3,400, get $900 in donations. That helps the Good Karma Brands John Moser Children's Radiothon. It's for a great cause. Maybe he gets out of there in like 6 hours instead. I mean, I don't see that happening.
And that's
still horrible.
That's the best case scenario, too. A 6-hour bowl-a-thon, and he's able to go home and have dinner at a reasonable hour.
Yeah.
But more than likely, what time does Tower Bowl close?
Tower Lanes is going to close. You're good. I believe it closes at 2 that day. It varies by the day. And they are willing to let us use their services for all, that'd be 16 hours. They said that those 2 lanes, 15 and 16, barring anything unforeseen, are ours until they aren't. And I was like, awesome. I hope you know that we will likely be there until Wally thinks we're going to get out at midnight. So he's prepared. He's
prepared for the worst. Yep,
yeah, he's going.
For the worst.
14 hours will happen. And I'm like, dude, if you get a couple good spins, the big thing is we have a reset button. It can only be used once. One of 2 things needs to happen. He doesn't spin it, which probability-wise, it's probably going to happen.
He should spin it.
You're right. It's going to happen.
He's going to have to.
But also, if he were to spin the reset after 1 game, it doesn't really matter.
Exactly.
So
that's when you hope.
If he can spin it early, if it lands on that early, we're good.
He may have a chance if he spins it early.
Get it out of the way.
See, we're in agreement. We're optimists. We like to think glass half full here. However, I might be with Wally on this. Being a realist, you guys might be there for quite some time. I hope that Tower Lanes has some great pizza. I love bowling alley pizza. All right.
It's got good food.
Okay, then you should be good.
So he's going to be in heaven. It'll be great. He'll just happen to have to bowl until he gets Sam Darnold's passing yards.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited to hear how his arm feels the days following.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
The Monday show afterwards.
Is it going to be one of those things where like you hit an upper body day and you don't really feel it until the next morning, and then the morning after that you're hurting even more?
Yep.
And then for him it's going to be like that, but for like 5 or 6 days it just keeps getting
exactly.
worse.
It's
just
gets
better
until it just falls off. Probably.
So, good luck to Wally. We've got 4 days for that. Again, you can tune in live on Daily Dodge TV. The stream will start just before 10 a.m. We'll have a live little pin counter in the corner. We will have a donation counter if you would like to donate to the John Moser Children's Radiothon for Good Karma Brands, and if you would like to help out our friend Wally. But yeah, 10 a.m., Daily Dodge TV, Tower Lanes, Friday. You can also show up and support if you would like. When we come back on the Damn Sports Show, presented to you by Real Sports Cards in Waupun, who's hot, who's not? Corey Sparks, Riley Jauch here on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam and Daily Dodge TV. Friday at Tower Lane.
Yes.
Welcome back to the Damn Sports Show.
He will be getting knocked down.
He's going to be knocked down a lot.
But darn it, he's going to get up.
He's going to get up. Like you said, he's going to hit that first wall. He might hit like 5 or 6 walls. But he'll get back up, and he will finish. And let me tell you, when he gets past 4,319 pins, if he doesn't do it exactly, should we do like the bags rule? Like to back up a game?
Yeah, the bust rule.
Yeah. Like, oh, sorry, man, you're back to 4,250.
Good luck. You got to bowl another game.
So this is Who's Hot, Who's Not to wrap up our Monday edition with Riley Jauch and Corey Sparks. The rules pretty simple. Who's hot? Player, team, performance, life event that went well. Who's not? The exact opposite. My Who's Hot was brought up briefly in our Gabe Neitzel segment to kick off today's show. The NHL is hot. The Four Nations face-off was a hit. Literally a hit. They were hitting each other through the first 9 seconds over and over and over. National anthem got booed. Viewership skyrocketed, and social media ate it up.
Yes. I mean, could you ask for anything better? I'm going to kind of steal yours a little bit.
That's fine.
Like, who's hotter than the United States of America right now?
3-1.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
You know that there's a meme on Twitter. It's just a video of elderly people hitting the slot machines over and over again. That was me liking every single pro-United States hockey tweet over the weekend. That was just
retweet.
Literally fantastic. Oh, man. Free bird, baby.
Yeah.
The United States, we're so back.
Crank it. I think, so they're supposed to go back. This was to promote the Olympics, the Winter Olympics coming up. They're supposed to go back to like what the NHL All-Star game was before. There's no way they revert back. After the response that had, that would be malpractice. Like, just stick with it.
Yes, I love it. There's nothing or few things stronger than some good old-fashioned nationalism in sports.
It was hilarious. 3 fights in, I think it was 9 seconds.
Yeah, 9 seconds.
9 seconds, just over and over and over. The third one was like everyone was fighting. It wasn't just a duel. Yeah. My Who's Not is going to be the NBA. We also brought this up with Gabe Neitzel, specifically Chris Paul and Victor Wembanyama. And I'll tell you what, if what they did in the skills challenge, which ultimately got them disqualified, they were supposed to shoot a 3, and they were supposed to shoot a left elbow jumper, and they just threw the ball away because if you miss 3 of them, you move on anyway. So they were just talking about hitting the slot machine button. They were just rapidly throwing this thing to the side. If that is the straw that breaks the camel's back and fixes NBA All-Star Weekend, then thank you. You guys will be Who's Hot in a few weeks. But right now, that was horrible.
Yeah, if that fixes the All-Star, I actually, spin zone. That could be the best thing that ever happened to the NBA.
Is that the thing that makes Adam Silver go, we can't do this anymore?
I hope. But, I mean, at this point, who knows? I feel like, not to just piggyback off you for everything, but the NBA is as cold as can possibly be right now. And I was going to pick LeBron as my Who's Not because he didn't play, but I can't blame him. After seeing what happened, like, who can blame LeBron? I wouldn't want to have participated in that either.
And then you have Draymond coming out and saying, yeah, kind of is a joke. You have LeBron, the best player in the NBA, coming out and saying, I'm actually not going to participate in this. Mac McClung, I guess you saved the weekend.
Yeah.
I don't.
Congrats, Mac.
Three-peat. There we go.
Come on.
We got some three-peat in February, right? All right, this has been the Damn Sports Show presented to you by Real Sports Cards in Waupun. Riley, thank you so much for coming on, man.
Of course. Happy to be here. Honored. Fantastic work, as always.
Appreciate it, man. Homer Hour coming up next.
Son,